Ethan adjusted his tie in the mirror, the reflection staring back at him a picture of success. To the world, he was the confident CEO of a thriving company, admired for his sharp mind and relentless drive. But behind the polished exterior was a man worn thin by the weight of loss and the quiet ache of loneliness. Since his wife's passing, Ethan had poured himself into work, building an empire while trying to hold together a home for his little girl, Lily. She was his world, his anchor, and yet he often felt he was failing her, unable to give her the warmth and laughter she deserved. Tonight was the company's annual gala, an event where image meant everything. He knew the whispers would follow if he showed up alone again, the widower CEO who couldn't move on. So, against his instincts, he picked up the phone and arranged for a companion. Not love, not commitment, just someone to stand by his side, smile in the right places, and make the night easier. Her name was Maya. He knew nothing about her, only that she had been hired to fill a role. As Lily peeked into his study, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit, Ethan's heart tugged. He crouched down, kissed her forehead, and assured her he'd be home soon. She nodded, used to his absences, though her eyes lingered longer than usual. Straightening his jacket, Ethan reminded himself this was just business, a performance. What he didn't know was that tonight would change everything. The ballroom shimmered with chandeliers, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. Ethan moved through the crowd with the same precision he used in boardrooms, offering firm handshakes and rehearsed smiles. Beside him, Maya walked with an ease that surprised him. He had expected someone polished but detached, someone who would play the role without leaving a trace. Instead, she radiated a quiet warmth that drew curious glances and softened the edges of the evening. While Ethan spoke with investors, Maya's attention shifted. At the far end of the room, Lily sat on a chair too big for her small frame, her stuffed rabbit hidden shyly in her lap. She looked out of place, her feet swinging nervously as the adults around her laughed and toasted. Ethan hadn't noticed, too caught up in business pleasantries. But Maya did. She excused herself, knelt down in front of Lily, and began talking in a gentle voice. At first, Lily stayed silent, eyes wide, unsure of this stranger in the elegant dress. Then Maya made the rabbit hop across the chair with exaggerated silliness, and Lily's lips curled into a reluctant giggle. Within minutes, the little girl was laughing openly, her shoulders relaxing for the first time all night. Ethan turned just in time to hear that laughter, a sound he hadn't realized he missed so deeply. He froze, watching the unlikely pair bond as though they'd known each other far longer than a single evening. Something stirred in his chest, an unease, or perhaps, hope. The night wound down with applause and goodbyes, and soon Ethan's sleek black car pulled up to the curb. He opened the door for Maya, but before she could slide into the front seat, Lily tugged at her dress. "Can you sit with me?" she asked softly, her eyes shining with trust. Maya glanced at Ethan, hesitant, but he gave a small nod. Inside the car, Lily pressed close to Maya, chattering in a way she rarely did with strangers. She told her about her favorite bedtime story, about how she sometimes felt lonely when Daddy worked late, and how she wished someone would sing to her like Mommy used to. Maya listened with a tenderness that didn't feel rehearsed, her hand brushing gently over Lily's hair as though it was the most natural thing in the world. Halfway home, Lily leaned against Maya's shoulder, eyelids heavy, and whispered, "Will you sing to me?" Ethan watched in silence as Maya's soft voice filled the car with a lullaby, nothing fancy, just simple and soothing. Within minutes, Lily drifted into sleep, her small hand still wrapped around Maya's fingers. From the driver's seat, Ethan's gaze flicked to the rearview mirror. The image of his daughter asleep in the arms of a woman he had hired for one evening unsettled him. This wasn't supposed to matter. Yet he felt something unfamiliar stir, a quiet yearning, a thought he hadn't allowed himself in years. Maybe this night wasn't just about appearances after all. Back at the house, Ethan carried Lily inside, her rabbit dangling from one hand. Maya followed quietly, unsure if she should step further into this world that wasn't hers. Once upstairs, she gently helped tuck the little girl beneath her blanket, smoothing her hair from her face. Lily stirred, half asleep, her voice barely above a whisper. "Daddy," she murmured, her eyes fluttering open just long enough to glance at Maya, "can she stay forever?" The words pierced the silence like a bell. Ethan froze at the bedside, his heart caught between disbelief and something he couldn't name. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Maya blinked, unsure how to respond, her hand still resting lightly on Lily's pillow. "She makes it feel happy again," Lily added before drifting back into sleep, her breathing steady and peaceful. Ethan swallowed hard, watching the woman he had hired for a single evening standing in the soft glow of the nightlight. This wasn't part of the arrangement. She wasn't supposed to matter. And yet, in the eyes of his daughter, she already did. Maya stepped back, her expression torn between tenderness and uncertainty. "I should go," she whispered, almost apologetically. Ethan nodded slowly, though his chest tightened at the thought. He realized then that what Lily longed for wasn't glamour or perfection. She wanted love, laughter, and someone who cared enough to sit on the edge of her bed until she fell asleep. And for the first time in years, Ethan wondered if he wanted the same. The morning light streamed through the kitchen windows as Ethan poured coffee, still replaying Lily's sleepy words in his mind. He had barely slept, caught between the weight of his responsibilities and the unexpected warmth Maya had brought into their home. When the doorbell rang, his heart quickened, he hadn't expected her to come back. Maya stood there, hesitant but smiling, a small bag of pastries in her hands. "I thought Lily might like these," she said softly, almost as if asking permission to step inside. Ethan's first instinct was to remind her she didn't have to play this part anymore. But before he could speak, Lily came running in, her face lighting up as she threw her arms around Maya's waist. "You came back," she squealed. Ethan watched the scene unfold, something shifting deep within him. This wasn't a transaction anymore. Maya wasn't just a hired date or a passing comfort. She was someone who had managed, in a single night, to bring laughter back into his daughter's eyes and stir a long-buried hope in his own heart. Clearing his throat, he finally said, "You don't have to pretend anymore. But, if you'd like to come back, not as part of an arrangement, just as yourself, you'd be welcome." Maya's eyes softened, her smile genuine. She nodded, glancing down at Lily, who was already tugging her toward the breakfast table. For the first time in years, Ethan felt the heaviness lift. Maybe family wasn't about plans or appearances, it was about the unexpected kindness that made a house feel like home again.